Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Ask the Expert with myself and my co-host, Teresa Ream. So excited to have you with me here today again, Teresa.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
And we are really looking forward to having another industry expert here with us today. And today we are going to encourage you, not that we don't always, but today we're going to be talking about PR. So you're going to want to make sure you have a pen and paper so you can take notes. And then you want to make sure that you don't just listen, you implement, right? It's always about taking action. And so we want to encourage you to do that, to make sure that you connect with our guest, right? And that you take action in your business. And then, just so you know, when it goes live, we're going to encourage you that if we didn't cover all your questions, that's okay, because underneath the video, you'll be able to post your questions and she will come back and answer them for you. So let me turn it over to Teresa and let's get started.
Thank you, Patty. Today we are talking about the secrets of public relations with Lynette Hoy. Lynette started her journey as a publicity campaign expert in 1994. Lynette has practiced public relations in different capacities and proudly founded Fire Talker Public Relations 11 years ago. The Fire Chief, as she is lovingly known, works with organizations such as the National Institutes of Health and the American Cancer Society to put their products, services, and events on the map. In the for-profit sectors, Lynette has turned C-suite executives into speakers and thought leaders, which are featured on major media outlets, including CNN, MSNBC, Inc. magazine, and Fortune magazine, just to name a few. Lynette is very well known to be a fiery connector and idea generator. So get ready to learn more about Lynette's VIP mentoring program and other services that will increase your bottom line. So happy to have you here, Lynette.
I'm happy to be here with you both.
That is awesome. So let's dive right in. So I love PR. I love it so much. I don't think people really realize how important public relations is. And there is, just like there is in anything, there's an umbrella and a lot of different people, they will specialize in certain things. So what is the number one thing, Lynette, that differentiates you from other people in the PR industry?
Well, Patty, that is a great question, because you're right, that public relations umbrella is quite large. And there's lots of different ways to specialize. And for me, that's publicity and promotion. And one of the things I'm really well known for is my signature online media kit. It goes well above the basic kit, which a lot of people put together with images and a bio and a few other things. What an online media kit for Fire Talker PR represents is the whole person. So you get things like an expanded backgrounder, a full Q&A, all cut and pastable, which the media absolutely loves. If it's plug and play, they fall in love with you and it boosts your ability to get ahead of the competition and coverage.
Wow. That is awesome. I love that. A media kit is really important. And sometimes it can be the thing that differentiates you, now more than ever in the media, like in the podcast world and a lot of virtual things, it's all a form, right? And sometimes they give you a place to upload it and sometimes they do not. But it is really something that is really great when you have that information. As somebody who has a podcast, it is amazing to me when people fill things out and I ask a question, how would you like to be introduced? And they say financial advisor. Like that's all they're going to give you, right? You're like, really? That's it, right? And so I don't think people really realize that it's the difference between a yes or a no is sometimes that. So I think that is really, really important. So thank you so much for
That's true.
For that differentiator, right? Because it's a good one.
Yes, that's my job on this show. So I have a question that just kind of came out of nowhere. What is the biggest mistake you see businesses doing in their PR campaigns?
That's a great question.
And what I hear time and time again from the media, different members of the media is, Lynette, I am so glad that you took the time to train your client on how to present themselves effectively. I know that you're the one that got them to do the proper 100-word bio. I know that you're the one that made sure they provided a great headshot. I know that you're the one that made sure they provided us with questions. And by the way, thanks for the answers. And by the way, thanks for the link to that amazing online media kit. It's a huge mistake that people make in thinking that, number one, the media wants to know everything in their mother about what it is that you do or how you do it. But most importantly, not listening. That's one of the biggest mistakes business owners make, is not listening to the requests that are made of them by the media. It's just so easy to have someone ask the question, a journalist say, can you send me 3 to 5 questions, a headshot and a bio? And if you have any extra information, please provide that as well. And it's a sentence. And people don't look at that sentence and dissect it. Anything that's coming to us from the media, we have to dissect it so that when you are presenting information to them, that you're really succinct and detailed where you need to be, and then where you're not, where you don't need to be. So that's,
I agree with you. I agree with you. I think it is really important to do that, because I think a lot of times what happens is they either give them too much information, they bury the lead, they don't tell us the hook, the thing that makes them different. But not only that, I think a lot of times, wouldn't you say, Lynette, that what people don't realize is that the easier you can make it for them, the better your chances are. Like, don't make it so difficult. Like, don't make it so that, like a lot of times what people don't realize is they'll send their bio and they send it in first person.
Yeah.
Well, now they have to switch that over to third person.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, it's those simple things. And I find it crazy that people, when you're envious, and we all get envious, we see our colleagues getting media attention and we know their business is growing. We see how they're flourishing, and we also have a successful business, but we're sitting on the sidelines green with envy. And sometimes that anxiety turns into being a little overzealous in your attempts to go after getting coverage. And you think, oh, I can just reach out to this person and I can get him to interview me. And I really want to get out there, and it's not about you. That's the thing.
Yes.
And that's another big mistake that I find people make, is it's not about us. It's about what we can do to serve the media.
Yes.
So you really have to do your homework. You got to dig in and see, if you've got your top 10 media journalists that you're going after, make sure they're the right one. Make sure they're your avatar. Make sure that you understand how they write, what kind of urgency they write with, what type of quotes they use. And if they're doing Q&As or different types of feature stories, what are they using? How are they writing? And then you adjust your online media kit to reflect how the verbiage is presented everywhere you want to be.
That is so true. Yes, many days ago, we were asked by our local news channel to show them how we did mediation on a project, on a damage. And we said, well, what do you want to see? And she named it off. We said, well, we just finished that process last week, but we are going to reenact it. So we set up a total reenactment of that process she wanted to see.
That's fabulous.
Wow. That's
I
awesome.
love that.
Yeah.
I think one of the things too that I think is really important, and Lynette, PR marketing go hand in hand like peanut butter and jelly. But I think one of the things that I would love for you to answer that I think people don't realize too is that in PR, there's a cycle, right? And so you may be thinking, oh, in November, you have this great idea for Christmas, but they were doing that months and months ago. There are seasons and cycles of PR, and they are way before what most people think. So really, honestly, if you can think ahead and know when are the seasons to be pitching certain things, you have a lot more chance to be able to get picked up too. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. What a lot of people do is create a publicity calendar. And there's not a strategist out there that doesn't have their own style of calendar and how to really hand pick where there might be opportunity for you to, investigate what's going on at that time. Like if it's Easter, right? If it's the springtime, what is it about your product or service that, what is it that resonates with that time of year? And if there is cohesiveness there, like you were saying, making sure that you reach out to different publications 6 months to a year in advance and start pitching your story. So if you're involved in wellness and, a very popular publication is mindfulness or mindful, if you are really involved in that game and what you have to offer really resonates for people during the springtime, when they're springing into a new life, when they're springing into a new time, all these different story ideas surface, but making sure that you are mindful, little play on words there, that you are mindful of where these stories are going, how they're coming, and who's writing them, to make sure that you're in keeping with all of that. And the other thing to remember too is that timing changes all the time. So although there may be certain times of the year where it seems like a natural progression, it may not be. There might be other things afoot. So it's important to keep your nose to the grindstone, keep your ear to the wall, make sure that you're paying attention to the ebb and flow of the media, and keeping control, keeping a pulse of where your media are, where your top 10 or top 20 media are hanging out. Because let's say somebody's writing for Mindful, they're a contributor. Maybe it's, Mind, Body, Green, whatever it is, perhaps they're no longer writing for them. When's the last time you took the pulse and checked in to make sure that your journalists are showing up where they're showing up?
True.
So
Yes.
That's another piece that falls within that timing, that perfect timing of placement.
I think that is really true. And I think that while it is important to have that calendar, I know that is something that I have, and I pay attention to that for all my clients. I think one of the things that's also super exciting in the PR world is something that is one of my favorite things to do, which is newsjacking, right? Which is when you have something that's happening in the world and you're able to interject your business into that. And the news, I mean, I think one of the things that I think is so interesting and people complain about all the time is when the media, like when you're watching TV or listening to the radio, they're saying the same thing over and over again. Like that's what they said the last, right? They're saying the same thing. But the reason why they're saying the same thing is because they need new information and nobody's giving it to them. So if you can, that's newsjacking. If you can give them something that's happening and interject your business in there right now, I mean, they're thankful. They want new stuff so they don't have to keep repurposing the same information. But that is being very quick and being able to be able to do that really very, very quickly. And but it is a good thing. I mean, not to really get into it, but the Will Smith story right now, there's so much newsjacking going right now for that story. But I mean, when things happen, you can jump in and be able to do it. I think one of my favorite, most famous one is when years ago when the power went out at the Super Bowl and everybody was like, oh my gosh, but within 5 minutes, Oreo was all over social media saying you can still dunk Oreos in the dark.
Oh,
so they took advantage of that right away and said, and then when Southwest did it, when that thing happened, well, Southwest was the one that newsjacked it, but the other airline where they had to pull somebody off the plane for bullying.
Oh yeah.
And then within 15 minutes, Southwest got on there and they said, oh, we beat up prices, not our customers. Right. So if you know how to be on it, you can take advantage of the PR and get lots and lots of hits. So you have to be listening and paying attention and being aware. That's or have somebody who can do it for you. But that is something that is really.
That was perfect for Southwest because that's true. That's true to their motto then, because the COO will write letters and say, when they get a complaint and say, well, we're going to miss you because they stand up for their employees.
I think
that whole debacle,
that is really good.
Yeah, with that whole debacle with Will Smith right now, when he slapped someone right from the stage, for putting down his wife in some way, the thing to remember is people like to jump in and talk about abuse, spousal abuse or abuse in general, or, any myriad of things will piggyback which is another term like newsjacking, where, they piggyback on that and a story comes out. But you have to be very careful about where and when you piggyback, because, for example, with the war in Ukraine and so on, those stories can be highly sensitive and volatile. So if you're using your business to, like, let's say you're in insurance and, or professional liability insurance, right? If you're piggybacking or newsjacking on the story with Will Smith, you might very well shoot yourself in the foot, because it's so highly sensitive and emotionally charged.
Yes.
And I always tell my clients, don't jump in on the super highly charged stuff. Keep it fun, like you were talking about with the Oreos. I mean, keeping it simpler, keeping it creative, getting really creative and having fun with it. That's when you get a little bit more play with the media as something that might be quick and to the side than commenting on a story that, one, you may not know. Obviously we're not going to know all the full details on anything like this, but also, you might be really injuring your brand.
Which I agree with, that it is something that people really do need.
Yes. So that leads into my question. What is the question that you get asked the most often?
Oh, goodness. There are several that actually get the same play. And one of the questions I get asked most often is, how do I stop being the best kept secret, Lynette?
Mm.
And it's really something that gets asked of me in a low tone. People feel defeated, they feel that they're the worst kept or the best kept secret out there. And, or no one knows who I am, and in a whisper. So that's really the biggest pain point that I get questioned about.
Yes, I can see that. Yeah, it's hard to put yourself out there sometimes.
And those are also usually people who I think a lot of times people think that when they're hiring somebody like in PR, it happens in marketing. I'm sure it happens in branding. I'm sure it happens in, websites, a lot of things. That I think it's one of the things that you do have to be involved. Like, there are things that you can just pay somebody and they'll do it for you, right? There's but sometimes there's things that, you can have them do it with you, but you still do have to show up and engage a little bit. And PR is definitely one of those.
Yeah.
So you can't just, oh yeah, I did a post and how come I don't have like 50 people calling me to hire me? I never heard any of the comments or the questions anybody asked me, but I didn't engage at all, right? But I did that. And I do have to say, I'm just going to give you a shout out right now. You did that super awesome quote, Teresa, that was really great on social.
What did I do?
You did a quote and it was really, really great. An original quote too. I was like, it was very, very good. I really loved it. It was actually kind of like thought-provoking.
Mm-hmm.
It was very good.
Yes,
shout out to my
we don't take compliments like we should, and we don't incorporate them to our being and who we are, because other people tell us who we are a lot of times.
Oh, well, that is really what our brand is.
Oh my gosh, what was it?
It was something about the things, the compliments.
Other people's compliments
reveal who we are.
Reveal who we are, sometimes to ourselves.
Yes, is that great? It's really good, but sometimes things like that those can be used in PR a lot, Mm-hmm. I mean, I have quotes and I add them to my magazine things. There's a lot of things and I add them to PR and stuff. And nothing makes me happier is when I go for something that's similar and I go to Google and my own quotes pop up. I'm like, yes, I didn't even put my own in. I'm like, oh, I love that. Like, it's
sweet.
It is kind of, it is kind of there. So Lynette, do you have a project or like something new that you're working on right now?
I do. I have a masterclass that's coming out April 15th, and it is called 3 Uncommon Ways to Boost Visibility and Profitability Without Pulling Your Hair Out or Losing Your Mind. And
I love it.
and that's on April 15th from 12 to 2 Pacific time. And I'm really excited about it because I'm going to be touching on all of these yummy, juicy things that are helping people move the needle in profitability by increasing their visibility and credibility. And that's going to be like touching on my signature online media kit, how to build a press room. I'm going to be focusing a lot on research and our media avatars and all sorts of things that people can be putting to work right now. You know, different platforms where people can be going to find those ideal journalists and different places that we can get publicity immediately without having a full online media kit yet. There's just certain things that we can do to sort of help move us forward. So I'm really excited about being able to offer all of this in a masterclass.
And so when the video comes out, so you know these do go up on YouTube, and they could be listening to them a year from now, right? So
right.
when the video comes out, if you could pop like a link in the comments or some type of thing so that they could go and get that information, that would really be great.
Yes, and it's actually going to be live, so I can give you the link for that, and people can also jump in and register if you like.
Oh, that's great. Yes, make sure you give it a lot of advertisement on our Facebook pages.
Yep.
Yeah, the link is just, it's called uncommonpr.net, and that's where you can RSVP for the event on April 15th.
Well, that's really great, but I don't even know, to tell you the truth. I'm not even sure if this interview is going to go live by April 15th. So we really want to know, what is the website of where? That's what I'm trying to say, is that these videos go out on, they go out on YouTube, and somebody may be watching this way after April 15th.
Oh, got
it.
Is
there something that so I see that. Why don't you just give us your website, and I'm sure whatever you have going on, you'll have it on your website.
Okay. It's firetalkerpr.com, and folks can head on over to my website to see what's new and exciting and what events are trending. And soon there will be up on YouTube my masterclass that's airing on April 15th.
Okay.
Very nice. Some exciting stuff's coming down the pike. Lynette, who can we introduce you to that would move the needle or be a game changer in your business in the next 30 days?
In the next 30 days, I would love to meet as many podcasters as possible, like Patty Farmer, that I can engage with and get interviewed. It's one of my goals this year to be interviewed on 50 podcasts by December 31st.
That's
whether they air or not this year is one thing, but to have 50 interviews under my belt is my big goal in media.
Very nice. That's a good goal.
I love it. So what social media platform are you the most active on, Lynette?
My Facebook group, and that is Embrace Your Fire and Grow Your Business with Publicity and Promotion. And I invite people to jump on in. It's a private group, and I'd love to accept you into the fold. So that's where most of the time is spent. So I look forward to seeing lots of listeners and viewers there.
Awesome. So thank you so much, Lynette, for being here with us and being a guest on the show and sharing your zone of genius. You shared some really great content. Thank you so much for being here with us today on Ask the Expert. If you enjoyed today's show, and I'm sure you did, please don't keep us a secret. Share us with your network. And believe me when I say your colleagues will thank you. And we have an invitation for you. So, Teresa.
Thank you, Patty. And thank you, Lynette. Great interview.
Thank you very much.
Enjoyed it. We would like to invite you to join us on our Facebook group and connect with our guest, with Patty and I, and to the other amazing women that are part of the Professional Women's Network of the Monterey Peninsula, known as PWN, and now includes members locally, nationally, and internationally too. Go to www.facebook.com/groups PWN Monterey.
Thank you so much. And again, to everybody out there, make sure that you connect with Teresa and I, connect with Lynette. Make sure you took some notes and you implement what you did. And most of all, have a great week. Thank you so much. We will see you soon. Bye-bye now.